The glory days of Blizzard are so far past us, I honestly barely remember them at this point. Modern day Blizzard is an absolute joke, a skillless, talentless, and worst of all, woke. Yeah, modern day Blizzard is completely trash. The storytelling is complete garbage. The memes just write themselves, honestly, at this point. Every single time a farmer on Azeroth decides that he's gonna dig a hole, there's a 50-50 coin toss that he's gonna find an ancient kingdom that, oh, suddenly magically was always there. Dragonflight introduces two new races of dragons which were always there. What do you mean this was never a thing? Oh, they were always there. Don't worry about it. Don't question things. We just never talked about them. But don't worry. This is like old lore. This is like established stuff. Okay. It's absolutely a joke. It is a complete joke. The last time Blizzard and World of Warcraft was trending was when people were making fun of them for putting Cat God in a magical wheelchair, okay? For a fight for a fight animation that doesn't even cross the lines of being better than the early 2000s machinima. It's a joke. And Blizzard is still doing all of them mistakes. They're still making World of Warcraft worse somehow. And now they're gonna add player housing. I'm sure this is gonna save the game. I'm sure this is not gonna be a disaster. Yeah, for sure. Right.
Welcome to the Warcraft news. Today we have a lot in the show. Player housing has just got a giant progression system. We've all got a lovely reminder that Blizzard really does love feet, and a hell of a lot more. Housing neighborhoods, release dates, and even
Housing neighborhoods. Look at this. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Black, a 40 that's waving and has like some kind. This is a panda, I think, or a dwarf, which is equally disgusting. All of these things are just. Is this World of Warcraft? No, this is My Little Pony Island Adventure too, but worse. Butters was way ahead of its time when he said he doesn't like World of Warcraft and he just wants to play My Little Pony Island Adventure. He was ahead of his time, god damn it.
a bank revamp. I also have a problem. Vercel's V0 and every no-code tool
Oh,
on Earth have empowered a new generation of vibe coders. I've kind of joined.
No.
If you want a big bar to fill, then, well, get ready to level up your house. This, what you're currently looking at, is an endeavor. Essentially, imagine the...
Whoa! This looks like the system that we have seen for the past 5 expansions that no one fucking likes. Might as well make this into a battle pass and you probably at least have a better product at this point, okay? Blizzard, if you just made this into a battle pass and allowed people to, for $5, completely skip it, you would be making so much money. There would not be a single person who actually wants to do any of this garbage. And maybe because you're becoming RunEscape, people are now migrating from World of Warcraft to RunEscape.
Traveler's Log and the Trader Post, but mooshed together and, well, being for houses and being shared with all of your friends and your neighbors. There's going to be public ones that will be assigned automatically, but private groups can pick whichever one is active. And if you're confused in public and private, don't worry, I'll talk about that later. So,
Okay, I see a single white dude, okay? And he's a wage slave cuck. Very cool.
The way it works is the active endeavor will change the whole vibe of your neighborhood, and it'll give you a...
Oh, Black Dwarf, boys! Or is that it? Yeah, that's a gnome. That's a gnome. Mwah, beautiful. Chef's kiss.
Huge list of very, very tasks to complete. And this is to complete collectively, not individually. So essentially, it is a proper old housing co-op. And I hope your guild have got at least a few crafters. If not, start recruiting, start leveling up, because it seems the crafting will be fairly important here. Anyway, finishing these will earn you both favor and currency. Now, the currency is where loads of the rewards and the new housing items are going to come from. As you progress through an endeavor, more NPCs connected to that endeavor's aesthetic will show up, and when they do, they'll sell you housing items for that endeavor's unique currency.
So, this is gonna have all the problems of garrisons and zero solutions, I guess. This is cool.
So let's just work through an example. Their example is Val'Sharats, one of the Legion zones. So basically think of the Emerald Nightmare, kind of dark red trees and that sort of thing. Now, they also seem to hint that you can buy items from other neighborhoods. So, as an example, even if your guild is running the Val Shara one, but you'd rather have something else, that seems to be okay. You could just go and visit another neighborhood that's running another endeavor. So, for example, you could earn your currency doing Val Shara stuff for your guild, but then go to another neighborhood, say with the Lightforged event active, and then you could spend your currency over there, buying their items. But it's not just currency.
Amazing. That sounds so fun. Okay? I'm sure this is gonna make the lore not gay.
See, there's another thing called favor, and this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So, by being in a neighborhood that progresses endeavors and then just working on tasks yourself, you can actually level up your own house. Now, the example on screen has got an increased decor limit as an award for hitting level 7, as well as a whole bunch of varied items that you unlock by basically just leveling up your house. Sadly, though,
You know what's the problem with Blizzard and, well, every Blizzard game in general? It's the fact that they literally do not trust players with anything. Everything needs to be a shitty progression system that locks you out of stuff because they want to keep you engaged, okay? They are not going to trust you for shit to actually make your own decisions, okay? If you ask Blizzard, do they think that their average player is capable of plonking a chair down properly? They're gonna probably say that that's gonna burn down the server somehow because that's how stupid their audience is. And this is how we always get these stupid progression systems that limit the people who want to go into this deeply, and that the other people who don't care about this are just gonna ignore. Like, this serves no purpose. It's the same shit as they did with starting to gate story progression in Shadowlands. Oh, you need this amount of this thing to progress the story. And then people understood, wait a minute, why would I ever want to progress the story if progressing the story is hard? But two, if you actually just don't do it, and you wait for the catch-up mechanic, you can do it in 5 minutes and progress through the story if you feel like it. It's just, all of these systems are stupid. They reward laziness, and they punish people who actually want to try. It's insane. And then, and Blizzard just never learns. I mean, how can they? All of them are morons.
there is so much here that we just do not know. I mean, having an increased decor limit as a reward might mean we'll start off perhaps more limited than some people expect. Maybe it's done like that for pacing. So
yes, because you need to learn to decorate your house one step at a time. God, I hate this company so much. It's unbelievable. Like, every single action Blizzard does is somehow directed to be offensive at your intelligence.
new players don't get overwhelmed. Maybe it's about allocating server space.
Yeah. No, new people are gonna get overwhelmed by the concept of putting fucking down a chair. Okay, God damn it! How did we survive playing Sims? Holy fuck! Sims should have had a progression system. Said literally no one.
To super dedicated people who've actually bothered to level up. We don't really know at this stage, and we also don't know if favor and the currency are going to be farmable, or if it will be kind of like the trading post where you'll have to skip certain items each month if you basically want to be like economical with your limited currency. We basically don't know about that now, but this is only a small part of what Blizzard overall revealed about player housing, because they also did a full reveal and a walkthrough of how neighborhoods work. Okay, Blizzard have finally lifted the lid on, I think, the biggest part of housing. Basically, where the hell are they? So the Alliance are setting up shop here. This is a place called Founders Point, and it looks like this. Essentially, it's a perfect recreation of that like Elwyn and Duskwood vibe, but of course made with modern assets. And if you're wondering what a future world revamp would look like, I think it's probably fair to say it'll look kind of like this. Very high quality assets, but they are nice.
I hate modern day World of Warcraft. This picture encompasses everything I hate about the game, honestly, how it looks. I like how classic looks because classic is distinct, okay? Look at this, okay? There's a fence, there's a stool here that you can fucking sit. Oh, it's a bench, I'm sorry. Bench elitists. There's a fence, there's a bench, there's a lantern in the tree for no reason. It all looks fake. This world looks fake. This world looks not even 5 minutes lived into. Now, seriously, do you feel like the modern day World of Warcraft looks like a lived world, or a sterile creation of something that the machines in Matrix would think that humans would like. Okay, leave down in the comments. And by the way, like the video. YouTube's doing this crazy thing where you can watch the video, but unless you like or leave a comment, it doesn't actually consider you a human. 10 out of 10, YouTube. I mean, that's almost Blizzard tiers of stupid right there, not gonna lie.
Probably fair to say it'll look kind of like this. Very high quality assets, but they are nice and simple, I would say. I think it's a pretty good balance.
Nothing about this is simple. Plus, it doesn't make even... Listen. When you play a game like GTA 5, the world looks real, okay? Except the flying cars and shit. But, the actual placement of buildings and stuff looks real. Why? Because they actually make it from buildings. World of Warcraft developers are gonna probably off themselves in Minecraft before they actually go to the countryside and look how an actual pasture looks like. Like, look at this. What is this absolute goddamn fever dream, okay? There's like a fence, like, there's no, like, what's the point of any of this? This is not even an orchard. Bro, why even have this? Did someone retarded make this? What? Why? What do you mean? Nothing seems real. Okay, I don't know where Blizzard employees work, but it doesn't seem like it's either this city or not the city. They probably live in space or some shit.
And simple, I would say. I think it's a pretty good balance. It's built with plenty of space in mind, designed to look good before anything else.
Look at this. This is a river. This is not how rivers look. This is not how rivers look.
I do quite like it. Now, the Horde's version is the Razorwind Shores, which kind of looks, I mean, a bit less barren than I expected, actually. There is some...
This looks like, what's it called? The other game, the one that said that it's the first, Outworlds, Outlaws, what it's called. I forgot. You probably know what I'm talking about. It had small foxes.
Nature there. I think a lot of us just expected like dry, dusty Durotar, but this feels a little bit more like a Shara to me, which is actually perfect because in the lore, the Horde are currently regrowing Durotar and basically the Barrens to be more habitable and I suppose more productive. Though in both cases, we actually see the zones have got some variety. As an example, over in this corner, it's very dusky, dark lighting for an Alliance house, and for the Horde, we've got an area that looks a little bit more like one of their typical desert regions.
What is this? It's a joke. This is a joke.
In terms of sizing then, each instance will have about 50 plots, and they will all be around the same size. Some are clustered together for a little bit of a suburban neighborhood sort of vibe, and some are way off in the forest for people who prefer peace and quiet. And it's a nice bonus that most of them come with loads of yard space, so again, that'll be way more decoration stuff, and at least that way, you can decorate without having your neighbor's mess crossing into your land, because every plot does actually seem to be decently big. Okay, let's talk about public and private then. So, in a public neighborhood, anyone can buy a house anywhere that they want. The game handles creating, naming, managing all of these things, as well as handling the actual gameplay that is attached to them. And
if you're in Europe, you know this is gonna be... Okay, listen. If you're American, you do not understand the European mindset, okay? Half the names of any character in Europe are a play on the N-word in some way. Or something similar. Okay? Boy, we're gonna have... Blizzard is gonna have to just completely disallow anyone to using the word plantation, okay? This is how it's gonna go. Okay? The Blizzard is just gonna disable you even having the word plantation in the name when this naming scheme gets to Europe.
Yes, there is actually gameplay, and I'll get to that in a little bit later in the video. Now, if you settle down in one of these, then you'll have that house in that neighborhood until you decide to move, which of course may or may not be because of your neighbors. Now, on that topic, the other kind is a private neighborhood, and there are two types of private neighborhood. So obviously there are guild neighborhoods, but you actually don't need to be in a guild to have privacy. That's because groups of players can make what's called a charter neighborhood together, which basically is kind of like a guild neighborhood, but
Yeah, let's also make a homeowners association while we're at it.
it's a charter, and whoever's on the charter gets to be in there. Now, sadly, right, Blizzard will not let you have one of these all to yourself. They say this is because of server limitations, so because of that, they will require a certain minimum number, even in a guild, but they've not yet said how many. Whoever owns the guild or charter can name these and control who lives in them, and pass some of those permissions on to other people, basically just like with guild permissions. But the only difference is that the private charters are limited to 50 people, which is one instance, but guilds can actually have multiple instances. So if you've got a really big guild, you can have like 4 different instances, which would support 200 people. And if you want privacy, it also doesn't matter what type you're in, you're basically going to be good. That's because you can set your own permissions for your own yard and for your actual house. So say you want to let anyone into your yard, but only let guildies or BNet friends into your house. You'll be able to do that, or you could just keep your house as your own personal private little goon cave that nobody else can go into.
So the past 10 years of Blizzard development have literally gone into this. All of those resources, not to make a better story, not to make the game balanced, not to make, add-ons not stupid and annoying, but to make a house. That's stupid. 10 out of 10.
Now, if you leave your guild or fall out with your neighbors, you can just move out. This is kind of neat. So at any time, you can pack up your house, pick another place to live, and unpack your house there.
What happens if you don't like your neighborhood? Well, you're racist. Are you moving out because of the Morgan? What? Are the dwarfs moving in? This is gonna be, dude, oh my god, we're gonna have levels of racial segregation. There's gonna be only Morgan areas. There's gonna be only black gnome areas. This is gonna be lit, boys. Oh my god, leave it to Blizzard to create the most beautiful. I didn't even think about this. Blizzard reintroducing segregation in the Cotton Plantation 12. Oh my god, this is great.
Which technically confirms support for a massively impressive feature, house loadouts. Now, sadly, Blizzard have not confirmed house loadouts will be a thing. Server limits may mean they don't want to support that right away. I mean, as an example, a house loadout is way more complex than...
Welcome to the neighborhood. The first house you see in front of it has a creatively assembled sign that spells the N-word. Oh my god, this is gonna be great. Oh, this is gonna be amazing.
Say a talent loadout, just thinking of data structures and shit, and we're only allowed a handful of talent loadouts, but the basic idea is you can pack your house away and then immediately bring it somewhere else with it all being intact. That at least opens the door to you having different housing loadouts that you could maybe swap between. Certainly not for launch, but it does seem more possible than not. Anyway, that's everything for now. With that said, let's talk about release dates, bank vaults, and a shitload more. Patch 11.2 drops August 5th, with the season starting a week later on the 12th. All pretty brisk, and really it's just like everyone expected from the PTR dates. Now, one thing that you should note is this launch will actually, touch wood, be better than most. That's because Mythic Zeros and World Bosses will be enabled in Week 1. So basically, in Week 1, you're not going to go in, play the story for 3 or 4 hours, then have nothing to do. No, there'll actually be progress to make on your characters in Week 1, which is fairly huge improvement over where we used to be. And being fair to Blizzard, it's one of many improvements in Season 3. But to just get meta for a little, this actually does mean that Blizzard have basically hit every patch on target. We're almost a calendar year since the War Within launched. The 5th of August makes it 49 weeks since launch. Blizzard aimed for 8 weeks between patches. Patch 11.2 marks the 6th patch since then, and 8 times 6 is 48. That means they're off by just 1 week, and we actually know exactly how. So the Christmas break meant that patch 11.1 took 10 weeks instead of 8. Now, with this patch, Blizzard are actually gaining a week back because it's only been 7 weeks since 11.1.7, or at least whenever 11.2 comes.
Does anyone give a shit?
Comes out, it will only have been 7 weeks since the most recent patch. Now, obviously, it's not exactly a case of the more the merrier. Not every patch has been great. Most patches were kind of busted on launch. There's a lot of things where we could just tell they pushed them out because they wanted to ship something. Looking at you, Codex of Chromie and some of those weird features like even Dastardly Duos.
The hell
what
is
they have
this?
done is for basically the first time since Legion, actually managed to meet their own deadlines reliably. That is, meet the deadlines reliably, not always ship a reliable build of the game on time. But more importantly, they've done that while also giving us some fairly substantive game updates, right? Things like all the housing stuff we've talked about, the cooldown manager, the upcoming slaughter of add-ons. They've bitten off quite.
So is this, by the way, true about the cooldown manager that is currently outperforming like 80% of all players? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of would believe that. Especially considering how inefficient the UI is in World of Warcraft. Again, I talked about this. We only need effectively one add-on in the whole game, and that's it. We just want the ability to choose whatever skills that we want to see, and you know, when we use a skill on enemy, if it applies a dot to them, we just want to see that skill and a timer how long the dot lasts. If it applies a buff on us, then we want to see it that skill icon somewhere on the screen where we can put it, and you know, then we see that the buff is lasting X long. Okay, that's the only add-on this game needs. And well, okay, maybe you want some kind of map add-ons or something like that. That makes sense. You know, a bag add-on if you're dumb. Okay, bag add-ons aren't bad. Comment down below if you disagree. You should not.
A lot. And before I leave you with this video, there is another big upgrade for the game. It's small, but it is the kind of change that you really will feel every day. So, you know how Blizzard added the Warband Bank update stuff? It's all pretty good. The Warband Bank is really...
Dude, is this some kind of stupid way to deal with inflation? How about just... Oh, wait, you're never gonna do that, Blizzard, are you? Cucks. Anyway, that was Bellier News. 10 out of 10. World of Warcraft is getting, as always, more fruity. Bye.